I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in episode 7 of the X-Men 97 series. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney Plus, check out that episode, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
Joining with me to break down everything from episode 7 of the X-Men 97 series, it's Jon Jon Rico.
Hello.
You know what I'm going to do. You know what I'm going to say. That's America's ass. Captain America! Woo! We got a Captain America cameo in this episode. I waited as long as I possibly could. It was either I was going to, start singing the X-Men theme, or I was going to just go right into Captain America.
That is America's ass.
It had to be one of the
two. Yeah.
I think I chose wisely because no one wants to hear me go through the X-Men theme song again.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah, episode 7. Look, so much happened. But it's just exactly what we wanted. Like, we kind of had that break last episode where we got, the conclusion of Storm's story. We saw what Professor X has been up to, since the end of the original series type of thing. And that was kind of like our, pull us away from
our interlude.
Yeah, our interlude episode. But we knew this episode was coming. And we kind of, we pick up basically right where we had left off with that. I mean, sometimes past because, we're starting with Gambit's funeral. So, they left Genosha basically to, arrange the funeral and the service and everything for Gambit. But yeah, we're pretty much picking up exactly where things left off. And a lot. It's a lot. a lot has happened in this episode, and I'm very excited to see where things go. I don't want to get into too far because there's just so much we want to talk about in takeaways and in predictions and stuff like that. But yeah, just a lot happened. Rico, what were some of your instant reactions from episode 7?
Yeah, definitely a lot did happen this episode. We get a lot of cool Easter eggs every single episode, and I always think it's really cool to point a couple of them out. Like, obviously during the scene where they go to Genosha, there's they're kind of carrying out a little bit of hope that they can still find people in the rubble, even though some of them are kind of like given up. Hope like we found everybody there is to find, and luckily like they find somebody and ends up being Emma Frost, and kind of the big revelation with her character is that she turned into her diamond form, which if we've seen for X-Men First Class, we know that she can do that. It's kind of it's not something that she was always able to do in the comics. It's something they kind of added to her later on. And it's kind of a cool way they kind of did that in this show as well, where Beast kind of says that he goes like, I've never knew that she could do that before. Like, and that's been something that she had to do like under extreme duress. So I really like that. And then it just kind of like, I thought it was really funny how like she's in diamond form, but she still has like her lipstick on. Like she got to still be looking beautiful for the cameras, and while she's like borderline dead. So I thought that was really hilarious. And then just like mentioning with the Cap cameo with Rogue too, that was a great scene. Like we're getting like those cameos that are the wider Marvel universe, right? So not only did we get Captain America, we also got Thunderbolt Ross, which I thought was really cool because he's just a great character in general, kind of bring in that can kind of like connect threads with all these different worlds, but also just kind of like the dynamic between Rogue and Captain America was really cool as well. I really like the scene between them. How Cap was just saying like, we want to help you guys, just like, I got to play this stuff by the book, and she's like, yeah, of course you got to do that. So I thought that was really cool, and just
she like just flings his shield like a frisbee too. He's like, she's like,
oh dude, that was so cool, so cool. And then I talk about the intro every single week now, because it's always different little things they add in there. But this week they kind of kept it pretty much the same from last week with a couple little kind of additions or changes. Like The only real change they kind of added this week was they added a shot of Morph kind of being kind of terrorized by Mr. Sinister. At one point,
Yeah.
he's kind of shooting at nothing. Then you see Sinister's eyes, and then we get like a shot of Rogue and Gambit kissing on the basketball court from earlier in the season. And then like another shot of Jean turning into the Phoenix with Cyclops on the ground. So there's some stuff in the intro that I think it could actually play in more into like the predictions aspect, as opposed to just them being cool Easter eggs. I think they're actually hinting at stuff now that we haven't seen yet, because obviously another one I'll get into later on was hinted off in the past 2 weeks of the intro. So yeah, I think if you're not watching the intro, they're giving you reasons to watch the intro.
Why are you not watching the intro?
Yeah,
it has
yeah.
the best
The song's
intro
already
music.
great enough.
Yeah.
But now if you're not watching for these little details that they're throwing in there, like you gotta pay attention.
Do we need to bring up the transcript of the song again? Is that what we need to do? Maybe it's just they want to be able to sing along and they just don't know.
Yes, yeah.
We can try to bring it up.
I'm too distracted by the singing to be paying attention.
But anyway, you want to get to some big takeaways?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome! All right, I'm going to give up big takeaways. Look, you know what I'm going to say because it's already written down in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say it. I can't not say it now. It's like it's just there. I have to say it. We got Rogue going rogue. I'll show myself.
Typical!
Anyway, no, I thought this was, I mean, it was really, and we've said this in the past, this series, even though it's in a cartoon medium, like presented to us as cartoon, really has like real emotions built into it very well and conveys these emotions, like these realistic emotions. And so we're
mature themes. Yeah.
Right. We're seeing Rogue go through, loss, heartbreak, like horrible emotions. And I mean, it's a real life thing. Like, I mean, we've all had, someone pass away in our lives. I mean, if you're lucky enough that you haven't, I mean, I salute you, but like, that's just, that's life.
Yeah, it's something we all have to face and have to come to terms with at some point.
And so these emotions, well, on a much grander scale, because Rogue has these powers and stuff like that, so she can do like some bigger things with them. But these emotions are very real emotions, and so it was very, I don't want to say cool, but it was just very interesting to be able to see that and to really see these emotions conveyed, through a cartoon and through a cartoon character. So I really enjoyed that. And even more so than that, like seeing her going on the rampage and seeing her interaction with Captain America was fun. I really enjoyed that part where she just like tosses his shield like a frisbee to it's gone. Like, I mean, I'm sure
not so petty.
Yeah. But it was perfect.
It was great.
But even more powerful than that was the scene where Nightcrawler finds her and is there when she wakes up.
Yeah.
And then she looks over and sees the rest of the X-Men team. I was like,
no, that was a great shot.
Shit. Yeah. It was just such an emotional scene. I was like, oh my God. Like this is like a family, just so much emotion, such a powerful, like few seconds of this cartoon. I was like, oh my God. Like I'm getting real emotion from this scene and this cartoon, and like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's just so powerful. So I had to make sure that I pointed that out because it really hit me like when I was watching that. But Rico, what were some of your takeaways from episode 7?
Yeah, the watching Rogue kind of go through all the little different stages of grief was really powerful stuff. I love that scene between her and Nightcrawler as well, especially kind of like she even kind of brings up the big sister little brother dynamic that they have. She really picked a crazy one for a big sister or whatever she says. And I just like the way Kurt really handled that was really well, because he's really one of the more empathetic ones of the group, I would say, and just kind of like his whole spirituality within his character. I think it just was a good way to kind of help console her through that hard time. So yeah, I really love that stuff. But man, we get some pretty wild revelations in this episode as well. So last week we kind of were given this hint that maybe Mr. Sinister was kind of like the guy that was the mastermind behind everything that happened in Genosha. But this week we learned that he's working in cahoots with somebody that's even more dangerous and I think this is the he that Cable was talking about when we saw them back in episode 5, and we saw Cable again this week too. We haven't really mentioned that yet, but but yeah, but we get a revelation that Bastion is kind of like the real kind of mastermind behind everything that happened in one in Genosha, but also taking like whatever he did with Bolivar Trask, basically turning him into this human sentinel is really
Zombie
wild.
Sentinel.
Yeah, it was super crazy, and now we learned that he's kind of like the one who's pulling all these different strings between people. One, he kills Guy Rich too, which is another big thing because Guy Rich is a pretty evil person himself, and then he just kind of comes in and just goes like, "Night night, you're going to dead night now." But he's also we the big revelation right here is, and something that you've been saying the last couple weeks, is that Magneto is alive and well, and Bastion is keeping him prisoner. And in true creepy fashion, like when you see someone like standing over Magneto like that and just kind of shaving him like he's like his little pet, like I'm like, dang, that's pretty crazy because Magneto's a pretty powerful dude, and the fact that Bastion just kind of like sitting there, like just kind of playfully talking him down, like it's just kind of like it was very very creepy. And it's funny because we're also recapping Bad Batch right now, and Bastion's voice actually kind of reminded me of Hemlock from that show. But so I had to look it up to see if there's the same voice actor, but it's someone different. But he kind of had that same like calm, chilling scariness to him that I see from Hemlock in Bad Batch. So yeah, I really like the way that he kind of is bouncing off all these different characters like Sinister, Guy Ritchie, and Magneto, of course. But yeah, that the whole revelation of Bastion himself. I'm not too familiar with Bastion, like other than what I've looked up from him after watching the episode. But so he's kind of like one of the few X-Men villains I haven't really kind of like looked up yet. But some of the stuff I have heard is just we're into some pretty wild stuff, and I'll get more on that in predictions later.
Nice. Well, do you want to get into predictions right
Sure
now?
do.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to kick off predictions only because exactly it goes right after what you were talking about. And it's perfect. I knew it. I knew like that we hadn't seen, the last of Magneto. But it brought up another question. And before I say that question, because I literally just thought of the question while you were talking about your takeaways.
Mhm.
But I love how this series, the way that we're getting villains is like, oh, you think that's the big bad? Nope. Here's the next big bad. Oh, you think that's the big bad? Nope. Here's the next big bad. So it's just like this like nesting dolls of villains. Yeah. But I really like the way that they're showing us this. Like they're, we're not privy to like a lot of the information ahead of time type of thing. So we're finding it out in almost real time with quotation marks, but we're finding it out in real time, which is like, it leaves you in suspense every episode. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate, like, I like that. Like, look, just like you said, we're recapping Bad Batch right now. And we know kind of the big bads on the board. We know it's Hemlock and by extension, the Empire.
Yeah, the Empire, the Emperor, everyone.
Yeah. We know that. We know that. But in this, until we got to episode 7, we really thought like, oh, it's probably Mr. Sinister. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of like different. I love that.
And it could still be flipped in some way. Like there could still be people who come in to play and have a bigger play factor in this story that we are initially led to believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's a very interesting way to do it. And it's like I said, it leaves us with suspense every episode, wondering like, is this the big bad, or is this just like he's working with him, or what's going on? But the question I just thought of while you were talking about your takeaways and stuff like that is, what does Bastion want with Magneto? And that's part A of the question, because I'm wondering if he's setting up Magneto to take the responsibility for Genosha, for whatever the big event that he's causing is going to be. Because you know what I mean? Like, why keep Magneto alive? Why do anything for him? Like, other than just getting rid, like taking him off the board in general type of thing. So I'm wondering if he's like setting him up for whatever his master plan is, whatever the fallout is going to be, it's all going to be blamed on Magneto type of thing. Like he's going to be the fall guy. That's what I'm wondering.
That's a good question. That actually leads right into my prediction, believe it or not. So yeah, I was talking about or I was thinking about how Bastion's talking to, I think, Sinister. Yeah, because he's revealing to Sinister that Charles is still alive.
Right.
And basically like how is he gonna use this information, basically that this X-Men has been portraying this lie. But he also has Magneto at the same time. And I think so in the books, Bastion creates this sentinel entity named Onslaught, which he looks like Magneto, like it's this giant Magneto sentinel, basically. But it's created using the minds of Magneto and Professor X. So I believe that he's luring Professor X back to Earth so that he can use both of them as prisoners to kind of make his because this whole thing has been like about mastermind sentinels, basically, like these or mastermind molds. So like he's kind of created like this more advanced version of it. Like when we think about like the X-Men Days of Future Past movie, how they had like the 70s version of the Sentinels, and then we went to the future, you had like those really advanced Sentinels, kind of like Nimrod, and they could also change into different mutants because of like the Mystique gene, right? So I think that he's creating like this basically this super mega entity that looks like Magneto, and that's going to be like our big kind of like our big bad of the final, like that's going to be like our thing for the final episodes, the final 3 episodes is like taking on this big Onslaught entity. And then also in the intro we're getting the hints of the Phoenix and Jean the Phoenix, and then we always get a little shot of Robbie underneath the Phoenix, and we've always been getting little hints of Robbie in the story. We get a little bit of focus on him in this episode where he tells us he's a mutant. So I feel like they kind of make us keep like like they don't want us to forget Robbie's like a part of the story, and he's also got like a pretty cool power set that he could use, like because he's got the powers of the sun essentially. So I wanted to see how that might factor in with the whole like Jean Phoenix thing. Maybe like he's got to use his powers to like trigger something within Jean that turns her back into the Phoenix, like in a moment of need or something like that. That would be kind of cool if something happens where like showing his importance to the overall story, and also like just bringing back a massive character with the Phoenix and Jean. So seeing how that could all factor into the overall story would be really interesting to see.
Yeah,
so many different ways that they can go with the X-Men. It's crazy.
That's the best part about the X-Men is there's so many different ways we could go with this, and it's just I can't wait. I can't wait for the next episode. I can't wait for every episode in this season. I feel like I'm always saying that, but it's true. I really can't wait. But as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of episode 7? And what do you think is going to happen next? Who is the big bad, and what is their plan, basically? Is it Bastion? And are we getting this, creature, I guess, at this point? We really don't even know exactly what to call it that is going to kind of be the master plan and our be all end all big bad. There are no wrong answers. As always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.